The Jacobite Uprising, which gained popularity through the Outlander series, was one of Scotland's significant events, commonly considered as a conflict between Catholics and Protestants. However, the rebellion was more complicated than this, and its most well-known fight was the Battle of Culloden. So when did it start? Who were the Jacobites, and where, why, and when did it end? The rebellion began at the end of the Glorious Revolution in 1688 when King James II was exiled to France, and Mary and William of Orange succeeded him. Both Catholics and Stuart supporters were outraged, believing that only God could appoint a monarch, and thus Jacobitism, or simply the Jacobites, was born. Over the next few years, several events were organized by the growing Jacobites to restore King James to the throne. The Jacobites won a victory against a Protestant Covenanter Force at the Battle of Killiecrankie in 1689, led by Viscount Dundee. But Dundee and a significant number of Jacobites were casualties of the clash. The following month, another rebellion was sparked in Dunkeld, Scotland, but it ultimately failed. In 1690, William and James faced off at the Battle of the Boyne in Ireland, with William and his troops coming out victorious, seemingly ending the Jacobites' rebellion. William offered pardons to any Scottish Highlands Jacobites who would swear allegiance to the crown, and those who refused to do so would face severe consequences. Although Jacobitism had fizzled out, in 1701, James II passed away, and King Louis XIV of France recognized the ousted monarch's son, also named James, as the true heir to Great Britain's throne. In 1708, the French attempted to bring James to Edinburgh, but it failed. Changes were made to the monarchy in England, and the Acts of Union were signed in 1707, creating Great Britain. The throne of William and Mary was passed down to George I of Hanover, prompting a fresh wave of Jacobitism, known as the 15. It broke out in Braemar, Scotland, with the initial goal of taking Stirling Castle. The Earl of Mar was responsible for launching this new uprising, and his supporters vastly outnumbered the opposing Hanover defenders. At first, the Earl and his supporters were successful, capturing several areas, including Gordon Castle, Inverness, Dundee, and Aberdeenshire. However, after defeating most of their enemies above the Firth of Forth, the Jacobites stalled, and the Earl of Mar was unsure of their next move. This allowed the opposing Duke of Argyll to better prepare for the next incursion. Finally, with James Stuart's support, the Earl led his men to Stirling Castle, where his troops outnumbered the Hanover side by 3-1. The adversaries crossed paths on November 13, which became known as the Battle of Sheriff Muir. The outcome of this clash was somewhat indecisive as the Hanover forces took heavy casualties but managed to prevent the Jacobites from taking Stirling Castle. Simultaneously, another Jacobite offensive was beaten down at Preston, and Inverness fell into the hands of the Hanovers. Some additional battles were fought in England at the same time, but none were decisively successful, and with foreign Jacobites from places like France and Spain, the rebellion ended.